Okay. Prasadam is the last. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Can you open? Time out. Can you open the doors? From here. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Padurikacharya Ashtotartha Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Padurikacharya Ashtotartha Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Nectar of Instruction Ki Jai. Shri Upadeshamrita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Yep. We're starting something new. Okay, I'm going to start reading the preface and then we're going to read the first verse. So he's finishing up. Nectar of Instruction. Upadeshamrita. Together. Hi, Bo. Yes. Belgium? From Belgium. Okay. On this 30th day of July, 2018, in SanDiego, we're beginning our reading of the Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, translated by Srila Prabhupada and commented upon by Srila Prabhupada. And we're going to begin with the preface, Srila Prabhupada's preface. The Krishna consciousness movement, now what we're going to do here, it's not just going to be a straight reading. We'll have stop in between and we'll ask some questions and make sure you're paying attention. The Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, or Bengali Vaishnavas, are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. Therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Hama Bujabha Se Yugal Puriti. Sorry for the mangling of the Bengali. When I am eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of the science of Krishna. The most exalted of all the activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis, Sri Rupa, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta, Das Raghunath. Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis, and to guide our activities he gave us this Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction, to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Shikshastaka, Rupa Goswami gave us Upadeshamrita, so that we may become pure Vaishnavas. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, sattva guna, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. And then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. A follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses, and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Upadeshamrita, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books such as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Vidagdha Madhava, and Lalita Madhava. But Upadeshamrita constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly, then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna. Signed, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Vishwarup Mahotsava, Krishna Balaram Mandir, Raman Reddy, Vrindavan, India. But there's no date. Do you have a date in there? There should be a date here. Yeah, they left that off here. Thank you. Okay, first verse we have written on the board. We may spend several weeks on this verse because these purports are very long. It's a very nice walking meter. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam. Jihva vegam udaropasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvamapi mam pratabing sashishyat. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam. Jiva vegam udaropasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvamapi mang pratabing sashishyat. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam. Jimva vegam udaropasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvamapi mam pratabing sashishyat. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam. Jiva vegam udaropasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvamapi mam pratabing sashishyat. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Janard. Then you can go last. Okay. Vacho begam manasakrodha begam Jiba begam rodopasta begam Etan began yovashaheta dira Sarvamapi mam pratabing sashishyat Vacho begam manasakrodha begam Jiba begam rodopasta begam Etan began yovashaheta dira Sarvamapi mam pratabing sashishyat Vachaha, of speech. Vegam, urge. Manasaha, of the mind. Krodha, of anger. Vegam, urge. Jivha, of the tongue. Vegam, urge. Udada upastha, of the belly and genitals. Vegam, urge. Etan, these. Vegan, urges. Yaha, whoever. Vishaheta, can tolerate. Diraha, sober. Sarvam, all. Api, certainly. Imam, this. Prithivim, world. Saha, that personality. Shishyat, can make disciples. Translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6:1-9-10, Parikshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Shukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see another thief arrested by the police. Yet he continues to steal. Experience is gathered by hearing and seeing. One who is less intelligent gathers experience by seeing, and one who is more intelligent gathers experience by hearing. When an intelligent person hears from the law books and shastras or scriptures that stealing is not good and hears that a thief is punished when arrested, he refrains from theft. A less intelligent person may first have to be arrested and punished for stealing to learn to stop stealing. However, a rascal, a foolish man, may have the experience of both hearing and seeing and may even be punished, but still he continues to steal. Even if such a person atones and is punished by the government, he will again commit theft as soon as he comes out of the jail. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement? And Maharaj Parikshit inquired, Drishta sutabhyam yat papam dhyanan apyatmano hitam kadoti bhuyo vivisha prayaschittam mato katham kvachindabhatate badrat kvachit chadati tat punaha prayaschittam mato bhartam manye kunjara shochavat. All right, for extra credit, who knows what kunjara shochavat is? Kunja. You know? Kunjara shochavat. This is Parikshit's famous question. When you atone, and then again you sin, the elephant bathing. The shochavat means to make clean. A kunjara is an elephant. Parikshit Maharaj compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes down to the bank, there's no gumption big enough for him. Therefore, it throws dirt all over its body to get dry. What then is the value of its bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things, thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offense is called Namno Balad Yasya Papa Buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Now just to explore this phrase a little more, because Some of you may know this phrase, Namno balad yasi papa buddhi. Papa buddhi means a sinful mentality, right? Papa buddhi means a sinful intelligence, meaning planning to make to engage in sin and not really being very reluctant, having a sinful mentality. So on the strength of the holy name, which we know gets rid of sinful reactions, one maintains that sinful mentality and ready to commit sin. So Prabhupada says, similarly, certain Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that confessing their sins before a priest and performing some penance will relieve them from the results of their weekly sins. As soon as Saturday is over and Sunday comes, they again begin their sinful activities, expecting to be forgiven the next Saturday. This kind of prayashchitta, or atonement, is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. Shukadeva Goswami, equally intelligent, as befitting the spiritual master of Maharaj Parikshit, answered the king and informed and confirmed that his statement concerning atonement was correct. A sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. Thus, real prayashchitta, atonement, is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness. Now, the context of this exchange between Shukadeva and Parikshit, at the end of the 5th canto, Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmadatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance to him and all members of Sri Prabhupada. So at the end of the 5th canto, I was just reading that the other day, pretty hair-raising. There's all a description of many hells. And so Parikshit is hearing this during his 7-day fast until death, and his heart is moved because he's a gentle Vaishnav. And so all he can think of then is, well, how can people be relieved of this suffering? How can, these poor souls not have to suffer in hell? And so his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami, he kind of tested him by describing material prayashchitta, or atonement. Even that famous verse describing austerity, tapasa brahmacharyena yamena cha damena cha. That's actually describing, there's no mention in that verse of bhakti. So it describes things that bhaktas do, brahmachari and tapasya and so forth. But in and of themselves, they may counteract these sins, but it doesn't uproot the sinful desire, the desire to commit the sin. And eventually, in the right circumstances, one sins again. And so that's, after Parikshit answered in this way, then what pastime did the Shukadeva describe? A jamil. The pastime of how a jamil was a Brahmin. He went out one morning to gather some wood, and in the woods, he saw a low-class couple embracing, some lewd display, and he lost his composure from that. And then he wanted to be with this prostitute, and he married her, and he had all these kids, and he became very sinful and the thief and everything else his whole life. But he was saved at the end because he had presence of mind to name his children after names of Krishna. And so he had his youngest boy was Narayan. And when the Yamadutas came at the point of death, he crawled out Narayan, and then that one utterance of Narayan was enough to counteract all his sins. The Vishnu Dutas immediately came and held off forbade the Yamadutas from taking the soul, and conversed about the glories of the holy name. And Ajamil heard about it. When he was saved, he then went off to the Himalayas and completed his purification and went back to God. So that one utterance of the name was more powerful than material prayashchitta. That's the whole point. The elephant may take a nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes out, it throws. What then is the value of his bathing? Similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant Hare Krishna mantra, and at the same time, we read that, Nam no balad, yasi papa buddhi. Similarly, certain Christians go to the church and confess and then again sin. So the real prayashchitta, or atonement, is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness. Real atonement involves coming to real knowledge, and for this there is a standard process. When one follows a regulated, hygienic process, he does not fall sick. A human being is meant to be trained according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such a methodical life is described as tapasya.
One can be gradually elevated to the standard of real knowledge of Krishna consciousness by practicing austerity and celibacy, brahmacharya, by controlling the mind, by controlling the senses, by giving up one's possessions in charity, by being avowedly truthful, by keeping clean, and by practicing yoga asanas. So, Prabhupada is quoting that verse. Tapasya brahmacharya. But he says, however, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all these practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process, simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. Now, what I glean from this first verse, he's actually describing the qualifications for the spiritual master, because you have to have that guru, Ado Gurvashriyam. Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the process of devotional service begins with taking shelter of a guru, and then serving that guru, following him, and chanting the holy name like that. But Ado Gurvashriyam, it's very clear. Ado Guru Ashriyam, first take shelter of the guru. So where do I find one? Well, these qualities, Vacho Vega Manasakurave, can be seen. One who can completely control those urges is worthy of taking disciples all over the world. You see, it's the qualities of the guru. Now we should also try to do that, obviously, but this is the first step is taking shelter of a guru. So that's what you're describing here, and Prabhupada describes it in terms of what we should also do. First, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A toad in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nonetheless, although it is inviting death, the toad does not go on. The toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They're always speaking nonsense, and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of mauna. Notice that the relation between the word mauna and muni. Generally the munis, the sages, are silent. It's not self-imposed silence, as Mayavadi philosophers think. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. By contrast, the controlled speech advocated by Rupa Goswami is the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge to speak. So two nice little verses. Bhagavatam is filled with these verses about the glories of hearing and chanting. The end of the second canon, I think second chapter. About drinking, Krishna Katha, Babhantiye, Bhagavata Atmanaksatam, Katamatam Shavanaputeshu Sambratam, Punantiye Vishayavidushatashayam, Prajanti Tat Charanasuroruhantakam. Does anyone recall this verse? Probably not. Those who drink, Pabhanti, Bhagavata Atmanaksatam. Yes. Bhagavata Pabhantiye Bhagavata Atmanaksatam. So hearing about Bhagavan, the Lord, who is very dear to one, to the Atmanaksatam. Katamatam, the nectarian words. Shavanaputeshu Sambritam, hearing through the ears and being fully filled. In other words, being satisfied with that vibration. Punantihe Vishayavadushatashayam, very poetic. They purify Vishayavadushatashayam. What does that mean, Balaram? Vishaya? Sense gratifications. Yeah. Vidushita ashayam. Actually, Vishayas are the object of the senses and for enjoyment. And Vidushita is contaminated. And asha is always like aspiration or desire. Purifies from one's heart the polluted aim of life known as desire for sense gratification. And then what? Prajanti tat charanasudorohantikam. They go back to Godhead to get a place nearby Krishna's lotus feet. Just from hearing, just from drinking in that nectar. And then the famous verse we can all chant together. Tava katamatam tapta jivanam kavabariditam kalmashapaham shavana mangalam shimaratatam bhuvaganantiye puridajana. You know all those prayers. Jayati Tedika. So, with Lord Chaitanya is in the middle of the Jagannath Ratha Yatra, and he takes rest. Have you ever been to there's some garden, Balagandhi or something? I forget. There's some place where there's like rest, and he stops and he takes rest there. And he was Maharaj Prataparuja, who wanted to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya, wouldn't agree to it because he's a king. Said, "You go there." He was survived by Sarvabhauma, devoid of your kingly raiment, just as an ordinary bhakta, and you massage Lord Chaitanya because he'll be resting, and you chant I don't think it's a whole rasa dance, or at least his Gopi Gita, Jayati Tedika. And he began to doing it, and Lord Chaitanya was in ecstasy. He was enjoying the chanting and the massage, and he didn't take notice that it was the king. He was in ecstasy. So then when he gets to this verse, Lord Chaitanya gets up and says, "You are Burida." Burida means most munificent. So the gopis are singing, and they're saying, the nectar of talks about you, Tavakatamratam, are tapta jivanam, the life, jivanam, of those who are suffering in this world, the very life and soul. In other words, brings back to life, who are suffering the misery. Kavabididitam kalmashapaham, they are sung by the greatest of poets, and they destroy one's sinful reactions. Kalmashapaham. Shavana mangalam, very auspicious, like a mangalarti, to hear. Shavana mangalam. Srimad, full of spiritual power. Atatam bhuvigunantiye buridajana. Certainly those who are spreading your glories all over the world are the best munificent welfare workers. This is a devotee live in the Sankirtan devotees, and it directly describes Srila Prabhupada and anyone else working in the Sankirtan movement. So that's the difference between the impersonalists and the personalists. They want to be silent because anything they're going to speak is nonsense, but you can only go so far with that. You have to become addicted to Krishna Katha. Okay, going on. The restlessness or fickleness of the mind, manovega, is controlled when one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22:31 says, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andakar Yahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. This is the motto of the Bhakti Guided. Krishna is just like the sun, and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the minds being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material thoughts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled. So, we know that we shouldn't identify with the body. That's pretty obvious, right? But it's much harder not to identify with the mind. When we forget Krishna, the mind automatically takes over and stops thinking of Krishna, and we think of so many different things. And we identify with whatever mood or whatever emotion is coming up due to those thoughts. And then we act on those things. So the mind is the key element in this whole thing, any yoga process. So how to capture the mind, how to stay with the mind, of course, chanting the holy name, all the different practices we do, both positive and negative, are meant for keeping the mind on Krishna. What is the verse? Smartavyak satatam Vishnu smartavya najata chit sarva vidi nishedaksur etayoreva kinkara. That always remember Krishna. That's a function of the mind. Never forget him. That's a function of the mind. All of the prohibitions and the prescriptions, the positive injunctions and the negative prohibitions, are meant to be servants of these two instructions. To do everything that we can to remember Krishna and refrain from those things that we know will help us forget Krishna. That's the essence of our practice. Then he goes on to anger. We have a few more minutes. Vacho vegam, manasa, now krodha vegam. Similarly, anger can be controlled. We can't stop anger altogether, but if we simply become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or the devotees of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry with the miscreant brothers Jagai and Madhai, who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In his Shikshastika, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Trinad api suni chena, todor api sahishnuna. One should be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. One may then ask why the Lord exhibited his anger. The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self, but when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offenders. Krodha, anger, cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. It was in anger that Hanuman set fire to Lanka, but he is worshipped as the greatest devotee of Lord Ramachandra. This means that he utilized his anger in the right way. Arjuna serves as another example. He was not willing to fight, but Krishna incited his anger. You must fight. To fight without anger is not possible. Anger is controlled, however, when utilized in the service of the Lord. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience that the tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasadam. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasadam. That is the way to control the urges of the tongue. One should take prasadam at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweetmeat shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasadam, the urges of the belly and tongue can be controlled. In a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse, can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. The genitals should be used to beget a Krishna-conscious child, otherwise they shouldn't be used. The Krishna consciousness movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for the begetting of Krishna-conscious children. As soon as the children are a little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukul school, where they are trained to become fully Krishna-conscious devotees. Many such Krishna-conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna-conscious offspring is allowed to utilize the genitals. When one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna-conscious control, he can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. In his Anuvritti explanation of the Upadeshamrita, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates three kinds of urges: the urge to speak, the urges or demands of the mind, and the demands of the body. When a living entity falls victim to these three types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting these demands or urges is called a tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Raghunath Das Goswami has written a 12-verse poem called the Mana Shiksha. And one of the verses goes like this: Asat chesta kasta padavikata pasala bediha pakamam kamadi pakatapatapadi vidikadan Gale bodbahane hamatipakabid bartmagane kuru tvam putkaran navaditsiyatan tvamanahita. O mind, the highwaymen of lust, anger, and greed have captured me and bound me by the neck with the ropes of sinful activities. In order to be saved, you have to scream out, O mind, for the devotees of Bhakabid. Who is Bhakabid, Damodar Kumar Das? Baka? You ever heard of that demon called Baka? How about Bakasura? Heard of Bakasura? Real name is Bakasura. And that Baka is a heron. And it was a huge heron. It's not a duck. And Krishna broke apart that heron. So the devotees, that's the name for Krishna, Bhakabid, he who split up the Bakasura. So we have to call upon the devotees to help us overcome the demands of lust, anger, and greed, and the sinful activities that they bind us with. So sadhu sangha is so important, because in sadhu sangha we can hear these things, we can hear about Krishna, we can be encouraged to follow and get the spiritual strength. Okay. So where was I? Tapasya. Okay, victimization. When we refer to the urge to speak, we refer to useless talking, such as that of the impersonal Mayavadi philosophers or of persons engaged in fruitive activities, technically called karmakanda, or of materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. All such talks or literatures are practical exhibitions of the urge to speak. Many people are talking nonsensically and writing volumes of useless books, and all this is the result of the urge to speak. You imagine what Prabhupada would say about the internet. It's the original Tower of Babel. You ever hear of the Tower of Babel? I forget, but that's like a lot of useless sound, right? The Tower of Babel. So like anything else, like books or like microphones or radio or TV, the two-edged sword, they can be used in Christian service to great effect, but at the same time, they can also be founts of pajalpa and all this talking, which brings us under the clutches of the material energy. To counteract this tendency, we have to divert our talking to the subject of Krishna. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who know this verse, we can chant along. Nayad vashas chitta padang hare yasho jagat pavitram praganita karichit tadvaya samtirtam ashanti manasa nayat prahangsa nidamhantu shikshaya. This is the famous pilgrimage of crows verse, which is also repeated in the 12th canto. I don't know if you know that, Bhapati. The verse is repeated almost word for word in the 12th canto. Same thing with the next verse, Tad Bhagavasarga. Those words that do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. And then the companion verse, on the other hand, Tad Bhagavasargo janataga viplavo yasmin pati shlokam abadhavatyapi namanyanantasya shankitani yakshinvanti gayanti gunanti sarava. By the way, I have recorded many years ago in Miami a tape that came based on the original verse book compiled by the Rohini Nandana in England. And out of that, from the Bhagavatam section, this tape is called Srila Prabhupada's favorite Bhagavatam verses. And those who are interested in maintaining their verses or learning the verses, I can give you this recording. You may find it interesting. So, Narada Muni says to Vyasadeva in chapter 5 of the first canto. On the other hand, as opposed to the pilgrimage of crows, on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So we'll end with this paragraph. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. So I'm going to put a marker here, and we'll resume that next Monday. And now I'm going to chant one more verse for you. Oh yeah. Sorry, I have to make a bookmark. Okay. So this verse is from the 3rd canto. Who goes and who doesn't go back to Godhead? So this verse is about those who don't go. Nayan bhajan Yena vajanta kabado vachanana bharat chinbandi yenya vishayako kutama tigni yastu shuta hatabagana bharata saras tang chapanta sadaneshu tang chapanta sadaneshu vajanti hanta, something like that. So navajanti means they don't go. Yena vajanta agabidho. Agabida, we had Bakabid, the killer of Bakasura. Now we have Agabid. Who is Aga? How about Agasura? Ring a bell? So, it's a name for Krishna. Yena bhajant agabidho rachananuvada. Rachana anuvada means a construction of words, otherwise known as a book. those who hear literary works that have nothing to do with Krishna. Vachananava chinvantiye annivishaya. They hear other subjects. Vishaya can mean objects of the senses, or it can be a subject matter of a book. It has two meanings. Annivishaya kukata, not Krishna kata, kukata, bad talks, bad sound. Matigni, which destroy our intelligence. It says, Matigni yastu shudha hatabagaya. By hearing those, all of your bhaga, all your good fortune is taken away. Nibir atasadas. And your interest in the essence of life is destroyed. Atasadas. And tang, those subject matters, chapanti, throw you down. Ashadaneshu, to the place where there's no shelter. Tamaksu, a very dark place. And then the last word is hanta. I think Brahma is speaking this. Alas, this is the case. So this is who doesn't go. It's all on the basis of what we choose to hear, chant, read, and write. Any questions, comments? It says yan vrajanti. But yeah, but it's a Y at the end. Vrajan, T-Y. Yeah, read about it. I think it's in the description of the kingdom of God, or yeah. Very important verse. And then a few verses later, there's a similar verse. Here's who gets to go, and those whose hair stands on them when they hear the holy name like that. Okay, I'll go to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. We'll pick that up next week. Verse writer, we'll write the same verse because it's a long purport. Yeah. I mean, you'll have to write the Bhagavatam verse, but for the next Monday, the same verse. And then we can reminisce on a nice Rathayatra the previous day. Right? Okay. I remember when I was in New York, the building became a Christie building. I lived there for a year and a half. This book had come out recently, and everyone had memorized. We were supposed to be told to memorize the first 8 verses, and we would chant them all day. So they were always like, why just 8? Huh? Why just well, 8? When you get 9, 10, 11, we're about water. But the first 8 are very, they're for us. I mean, they're all for us. For everybody. Sorry? These later verses in next to this chapter 9 and 11. Yeah, they're like a different section. We initially learned. I remember Chutnana. Remember Chutnana? I don't know if you saw him personally, but he was there. Like the first time he went to India. So he became very, he learned Bengali to some degree, learned Sanskrit to some degree, and he got to be instrumental to the song together. So then, when he finally left India, he left America because of his draft. He was turning 18 and he wanted to get away, so he went to India. He was the first place to hang out. To go to Yamata, there was nothing else. And so he comes back. He comes to L.A. and he was the man. He knew all the Bengali songs. But when it came time to chanting that last verse of the Rita, which I think is that meter, he couldn't figure the meter out, so he had to come to me and I go to the PPC office. How do I change it? He was making recordings. And then I moved him to New York. He's now in the last place. We'll see him too much.